Greetings. My name is Sylvia Valdis, and I'd like to welcome you to my latest soul service project, which is called AUM. I have been a spiritual teacher, writer, and international speaker now for the past 30 odd years. And it's my pleasure always to have the aim and to fulfill it to the best of my ability of empowering people, helping people in whatever way is the most useful to them, giving information which I have studied for the last 40 odd years from the ancient wisdom teachings, but which I have actually tested and proven it really works. I always do that before I share anything. So, this new project is aimed at answering your questions in order to help you either make sense of life, to clear up something that's been puzzling you for a while, or it's confusing perhaps. You've heard conflicting answers and you don't know how to um, discern which is likely to be the most valid one. And so the idea of this project is to invite people to send in their questions. At the end of this, I'll give you my email address where you can send it. So today, one rather fun question that has been asked, I thought I'd share with you, and that is, can you be wealthy and spiritual? A lot of people would already know the answer, but let me give you the understanding that I have, and also an old story which gives you the understanding in a more picturesque way. Yes, of course. The only exception to this is if you are attached to being wealthy. If that's your goal, your God, if you like, then of course that becomes your main focus, and spirituality tends to be put way back on the back burner. So, in that sense, of course, they don't go together. But there is nothing to say anywhere, if you check it out, that you cannot be wealthy in the sense of enjoying what the world has to offer in any form at all, and that includes money, providing you don't make it, as I say, your goal, and you don't worship it, and so forth. After all, it's only a form of energy exchange, and so if you're giving energy out, that's one way you can keep the cycle, the circulation of the energy going, and receive some back. So, yes, you can be both. And there's a little story I'll share with you. Apparently, there was a Westerner went over to the Himalayas. He wanted to find a master, a guru, who he could study with the spiritual path. So he went over to the mountains and asked around, and people said, yes, there's a master a few miles up the road. So he traveled there and he came to this beautiful mansion. It had beautiful buildings and gardens and so forth. And when he knocked at the door, the master came to the door and he was dressed in beautiful silks and robes and jewelry and so forth. And as soon as the inquirer saw this, he decided no, that couldn't be the right master, not if he was going to learn the spiritual understanding. So he made an excuse and left him, asked again, and people in the villages said, yes, up this other road there is another master. So he traversed labored up this hill and came to um, another place. And then he came across to, when he was pointed out where the master lived, to this really poor dwelling, almost a hovel. And when he knocked on the door, the master came out and he was dressed almost in rags, certainly dressed very simply, bare feet and so forth. And so the inquirer thought, yes, this is the right master. This is a true master. So he asked, could he study with him, and was accepted. And so he duly spent time learning about the spiritual path, enlightenment, and so on. And one day he happened to say to the master, you know, when I was first seeking, I first met the master in such and such a place. Only I didn't think he was the right one. And this very wise one he'd been working with said, ah, yes, I know him well. He has learned the lesson of non attachment. So I think you could see the moral of the story. In other words, you can have the wealth in whatever form you like, providing you don't become attached to it. So I think that illustrates the point and answers the question very well. But I will leave you with this one little saying, which is a favorite of mine. It's a little risque, but I'm sure you won't mind. And it goes something like this. If you're wealthy and perhaps you're enjoying loving physical relationships and so forth, then you can't possibly be spiritual. If you want to be spiritual, you have to be horny and broke. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll leave you now and invite you. Please do join me again for more questions in my AUM project. And if you'd like to send me yours, here's my email address: sjv3 at extra.co.nz. Note there's no E in extra. Or you can go to my website, which is simply sylviavowles.com. And of course, you'll find the contact there. And that will also explain about my award winning book, The Miracle Effect, which for many people has answered a lot of questions. So do send me in any questions of a spiritual, metaphysical nature, or anything that helps you make sense of life and live life with more enjoyment and understanding, peace, and so forth. Because I not only believe, I know that that is how we can and we are meant to live. I know because I have proved it, I am proving it, that's how I live. And I'd love to help you do the same. So until next time, blessings and go well. If, as I say, you've got something that you'd like to ask, do please let me know.